everybody. This is Mark Stein, lead singer, keyboard, classic band Vanilla Fudge. And guess what? You're listening to Brutally Delicious podcast.
Making the effort to come back. It's awesome. We were really looking forward to the interview because the track is great. And the video is extremely powerful.
Which track are you talking about?
Pray for Peace.
Oh, okay, cool.
So anyway,
Super
I'll get
powerful.
started. Yeah, I'll get started because I have really bad internet and I'll let them take over. Thank you for joining us. I'm Bruce. My partner is Chris and Rena. And Chris, if you want to jump in, go ahead.
Well, I kind of understand why you did Pray for Peace. Like, I get it. But what drove you to really try and work with charity organizations and do that kind of thing? And was that a difficult situation to kind of navigate?
No, it wasn't difficult at all. I mean, I wrote Let's Pray for Peace a number of years ago, during multiple terrorist attacks around the world.
Yeah.
And, I didn't write it specifically for the Ukrainian cause, but I had it, in my catalog. And the first time I actually played it live was at the Sweden Rock Festival. Okay. And we were a little apprehensive about doing the song because it was a heavy metal, heavy rock festival, and ballads like that kind of a message. But you know what? It was during the time that Paris was being attacked by terrorism and threats to Belgium, Scandinavia. So, we decided to do it. So I did dedicate it to the people of Paris and Belgium and everybody in Europe and around the world. And we're going to do something a little different right now. We hope you like it. And it went over great. And from then on, I've been performing Let's Pray for Peace around the world in concerts with Vanilla Fudge and my own band. And, in the Ukrainian, when this war started, we thought, because this song is always relevant.
Yeah.
And the record company thought it'd be a good idea to put this video together, which correlates with the Ukrainian cause. So I thought they did a great job integrating everything. And we put the video out, and at the bottom of the page, there's a link where anybody can, first of all the proceeds from it is going to UNICEF, for the Ukrainian children and their families. So if you go to the bottom of the page, you'll see a link where you can access it. And, if you feel like there's something you want to do, you should do it because they need the funds as much as possible right now. So that's how it all happened.
Great.
Cool. What was it like performing it at Swedish Rock Festival? Like you say, that's like a heavy metal festival. When you played it there, were you kind of apprehensive at first, and did you kind of win the audience?
I was.
Well?
It's like I mentioned, I was apprehensive. And we decided to do it with just keyboards, a little acoustic guitar and bass. Very simple song and a simple message. It's just big piano and strings, and Pete Bremy and Vinnie Martell came in with the really nice harmonies from the Fudge, and I think I was a little apprehensive about it, like I said, but it sounded really cool, and it's like I said, the people really appreciated it, and they got a great response. So a message song like that is always relevant, no matter what.
Like in my experience, or Chris, all the metalheads are like, yes, dead corpses in paradise and death and war, and then it's like, oh, a kitty.
Right.
Oh, a puppy. No, but this is, metalheads are actually huge softies, and I would imagine song like this would actually resonate really well.
I remember coming off stage and people were like swarming me and saying, wow, it was a great vocal, what a great song, man. Thank you so much. And, it felt really good because I knew it was the right thing to do at the right time. So
yeah, I
was prepared to hear anything that they had to say to the contrary, but fortunately it was positive all around. So that was cool. And then I went and sang it in Finland. It was the same thing while we're over there touring Scandinavia. So it was
really?
It was great.
Where in Finland?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember where. It was a really cool venue.
Really?
I'm
So
sorry.
my country left no impression, huh? Mm.
Rena's
I'm
actually
actually-
Well,
I'm finished.
don't-
I'm
I
in
don't-
Finland.
I thought I loved it. In fact, when we landed, I think was it the Baltic Sea or the Black Sea? Is it? Where Finland
Baltic
is?
Sea.
Yeah. When we got out of the plane landed from Latvia. We landed, in the Finland, the airport there. We got out, by the ocean. I remember the air smelled so incredible. It was so much oxygen. It was so beautiful. And I said to the guys, wait a minute, let's not get in the cars yet. Let's stand here and breathe this air. And I mean, I don't remember ever breathing in air that was so pure and incredibly beautiful, to be honest. And then when we got to where we were going, it was such a beautiful country and the people were great and warm. But you'll have to forgive me. I just don't remember which town it was.
Oh, no worries.
It's okay.
I'm
just-
sure you've played a
just
few
listening.
shows around the world, just one or two, right? So-
Yeah, well, it's up to 4 or 5 now.
yeah.
Yeah. One every 12 years.
Right.
So that would add to 60 years.
Yeah.
They put these guys on. Oh, there he is. Oh, look.
Hey. Have you ever had situations like that with other songs where you're kind of apprehensive to play it at a certain venue, but you decided it was the right thing to do?
Well, maybe when we were kids, the first time we played "To Keep Me Hanging On" was we thought it was such an innovative approach to the song, and we didn't know how the audience was going to respond. We loved it. We felt very strong about it. We couldn't wait to unleash that, that arrangement on the world back in the late '60s. But when it came out, everybody was like mesmerized because of the dynamics and the drama and the symphonic approach we had to music. So, once that happened, we had the confidence to move forward and expose our style of music to the world, because it was getting played constantly on underground FM radio, WNEW in New York, and
Yeah.
LA and San Francisco and Chicago. And we became the darlings, Vanilla Fudge, of underground music in the late '60s. And everybody, man, came to see us play. I mean, I was a fan of everybody. The Fifth Dimension, Sonny and Cher, Canned Heat, all the bands and the Mamas and the Papas, all the bands that we opened for and played with. Once the album was out and getting a lot of exposure, they started becoming fans of Vanilla Fudge. And it was just such a glorious time to be young and be in the middle in the center of the pop music universe. So that's something I will treasure and never forget as long as I live,
That was a real revolutionary point in music history, really. It really just blew the doors off of what
Hell yeah.
people thought could
Yeah.
be done musically, Like, even me growing up, I always looked at that era as like, I wish I was alive during that, like, because
Yeah.
I grew up with hair metal, which I loved, but I didn't grow up with like that, so to speak.
Well, yeah, it was a time of discovery, incredible creativeness. It was, I call it a total musical renaissance, a cultural renaissance. It was a time of the Vietnam War. It was a time of the Beatles. It was just it was like the perfect storm of creativity. Everything coming together. It was a great learning experience.
Right.
And it was a time of a lot of drugs going on, and free love and sex, drugs, rock and roll. And we lived through it. And we survived it all. Well, I mean, I did. Anyway. I'm here today to talk about it,
Yeah.
But it was cool. And it's amazing here we are. What are we, 55 years later? And Vanilla Fudge is still playing. We're still out on the road doing shows. We got shows coming up. I have a solo album out called There's a Light, which is a collection of social issue songs that I've written, patriotic songs of love. And it's been really well received out there. I'm getting a lot of coverage, getting airplay in like Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. And the album actually, went to #1 on one of the stations based on request and airplay.
Amazing.
So a guy that's 75 years old to have something on the charts anywhere, I think is pretty cool.
Hold
you
up,
know?
hold up. Did you say 75?
Yeah, I'm 75 years old. and I've
Holy
been doing
fuck!
it since
You look
I'm a
like
kid.
you look like you're 40. I look older than you. This is crazy.
Oh, well,
Wow.
thank you. Well, I mean, I'm the original singer and keyboardist in Vanilla Fudge. So our first album was 1967. So that's what
Wow. That's when I was
55 years
born.
ago. So I
Yeah.
was 19 years old when I recorded that song. I was 20 years old when we were out there kicking ass around the world, 20 and 21. So yeah, I've been fortunate that way. You know, I have to admit.
Amazing.
It's kind of like that movie, The Age of Adeline. You know.
Yeah,
If
when you look-
if you know
Yeah.
the theme about that music, about that movie, where she got struck by a lightning bolt, and she never aged like in half a century. It was like, so maybe I got struck by that same lightning bolt when I was on the road somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was LSD, but I guess it wasn't. No, I appreciate that, guys.
Something
thank
you
you.
have been doing something different than Keith Richards. You know that lightning has not touched him. You
Well,
absorb all that energy.
instead of doing heroin and drinking a lot of alcohol, I did a lot of H2O.
Yeah.
And I stayed married to the same woman. It's a 50th anniversary coming up July 9th.
Congratulations.
Patty.
Congratulations! I
got
really
kids. I got grandchildren. I've led a really clean life. I've stayed away from alcohol and drugs, and I exercise, and I've been lucky. It's in the genes. My mom was 90, and I remember, God rest her soul, she always looked, everybody in my family just looked a little, on the outside, looked younger,
That's beautiful.
than they were. So I've been lucky that way.
When you look back on that musical renaissance period, and there was like this peace, free love, all that stuff. How do you think that movement has affected society, like even now?
That's a good question. Back in those days, it was also new and risk-free, should I say?
Yeah.
Talk about love, and the diseases weren't prevalent at that time. Things like AIDS and a lot of the horrible stuff that that hit the public. How does it affect it now?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how it affects it now. I guess people in the now generation, if they want to look back in retrospect about how rock and roll evolved, they could read my book or any books on the evolution of rock and roll. See how things were done. The level of how kids were brought up in those days. There was no technology. It's like my grandson. I tell him there wasn't anything as like computers or smartphones or anything. Well, he says, I would have died. I said, you don't get it. Because him, like most kids are really technology wizards. But we just played tag outside. We played stickball. We played baseball at the park. I went to school in the winters. I had to get up early and walk all the way up the block and take buses to school. And
Right.
We went to community centers, and there was dances. And it was this discovery of rock and roll, this new energy force, that came out among, the youth. It was an age of innocence, I believe. I mean, it wasn't like today's incredible runaway inflationary times. Gas was 29 cents a gallon. I used to put $2 in the gas tank. I'd be good for the weekend,
So
it was amazing.
I have a question for you. I was reading the bio and listening to your, to the new songs and the new There's a Light. The bio says there's a remarkable story of what America was, has become, and may or may not face in the future. Where do you think we're headed? Chris and I and Rena were just talking a little bit ago. Where does this go? What do you think the future is here?
Well, if I had a crystal ball, I'd rub it and I'd tell you like in a minute's time. But I don't know where it's going to go. But right now, politically and I think morally and in so many ways, we're in an incredible divide. You got the left, you got the right, you got what's the horrible things that are going on with automatic weapons. Just thinking of Uvalde, Texas, which is an unspeakable, horrible deed that son of a bitch from the devil did.
Yeah.
And it's been happening It's been happening for over a decade. Nothing seems to be done about it. I don't know why automatic weapons aren't just banned completely, like heroin or something, I mean, I think it's great to get a pistol for home protection. If you want to go hunting, if you're into it, you have a 35 caliber deer rifle, but what are you going to go hunting with a machine gun? I mean, why do we need that? Except for the military. It's absolutely insane. When the Second Amendment was written by James Madison, if I'm going back, 18 something, not whatever it was, the Second Amendment was we have the right to bear arms so we can protect ourselves against governments of tyranny, okay? But at the time, the weapons they were using were long guns called muskets, flintlock rifles that only a professional soldier could get maybe 4 shots off in 1 minute, 1 shot every 15 seconds if you were really great at it, So I don't think, I think that Second Amendment has to be updated a little bit. I mean, give me a break, It's just beyond common sense.
Yeah.
Why can't they see this? Why can't they change the law? I mean, an 18-year-old shouldn't have it, and nobody should have it, in my opinion. Yeah. It's insane,
And this is how the rest of the world looks at it, and this is how it feels surreal that you guys need to even have this conversation. That there are those who adamantly defend the right to have machine guns at home and to be able to obtain them with a 15-minute notice from your local department store. To the rest of the world, this is indeed insane.
Well, I don't know what the answer is going to be. I mean, going forward, boy, I don't know. I'll tell you one thing, the middle class is really getting hurt so bad with this runaway inflation, with gas prices, the price of food. It's absolutely insane, and it's getting worse. I don't know when it's going to end. I just wish we would. I mean, I think we have, in America, we have the ability to create our own energy. We have sources, to get oil out of our own ground. And I don't know. I hate to get into politics, but how can you not get into politics when everything is just so intense on so many levels? I don't know.
It is an intense time in history right now. And that's actually why I asked you about what the musical renaissance that went through. That was also a very politically tense time. And it brought up all this great music, and it brought up people to do or to try to do the right thing, or what they perceive to do the right thing. But I don't really see that happening right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't see, I see the video that you released, but I don't see people releasing songs about hey, how do we deal with this? Or there's no political, everyone's so scared to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
They're afraid to bring politics into their art. And I think
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. My album has songs like Racism. Yeah. Songs like All Lives Matter, songs like We Are One. And they reflect at the time the social conditions of America when inspired me to write these songs, And when I wrote Racism, my band at the time said, there's no way we're going to do this video. They're going to come to your concerts, they're going to have signs, you're a racist and all of that, But I wrote the song because it's, my feeling about the fact that it exists. I'm not a racist. I mean, it was just talking about 2 young kids going to school, a black kid and a white kid, just loved each other, holding hands. Ever see a white child walk with a black child on their way to school, smiling at each other like a sister and a brother, laughing at the grown-up fools because they're way too young. Their lives have just begun to follow the golden rule of hating one another because their skin's a different color, growing up in a world so cruel, and it goes on about the mamas and daddies. They could never get along throughout history. The venom's so strong. Shame on humanity for letting it get away from 400 years ago to this day. And it goes on, racism. How did it ever start? It poisons the human heart. And that's my message, that it exists. And it's upsetting to me that it exists. So I wasn't afraid to do it because I was compelled to do it. And songs like All Lives Matter, when I had that other racial incident in Missouri, when the cops shot this black dude, and I don't know, it was a big country was up in arms over it, and I was compelled to write this song about Blue lives matter, white lives matter. And yeah, Black lives matter to God. He is our creator. I wrote it in a spiritual sense. And a couple of my African American friends and fans, they were sending me messages. You don't get the old Black Lives Matter thing, and you don't get. I said, I understand. I understand it's an organization. I understand that African Americans have been mistreated throughout history. There's no doubt in my mind about it. But this is a spiritual song about all lives matter to God. If you could just see my side of it, and they say, yeah, you know what? You got a good point there. I never thought of it that way. Okay, dude, you got to pass. Okay, great. You understand where I'm coming from. So I haven't been afraid to do it. People might be afraid to release some of my stuff until Deco thought the album had a great message, a thread of social commentary and patriotism and what have you.
Right.
So, yeah, but younger artists aren't doing it though. You know what I mean? Like where the youth need to get fired up about what's happening, there's no artist speaking to them.
They're afraid to get canceled.
Right.
Yeah, I guess.
They're afraid to what?
To get canceled. Everybody, that whole cancel culture is just a bunch of shit.
Well, I don't know. I think as writers and artists, we have a duty to reflect in our lyrics and melodies and arrangements and emotion. That's what we do. I think we have a duty to do it. What the hell? We can't get played on the radio anyway, so you might as well put it out there and get it on social media to be heard. Radio is shot. It doesn't matter how great a song is or how great a record is or how bad it is. These FM stations around the world, classic rock radio, just play the same rotation, the same format from the 60s and 70s and 80s, but they won't play any new songs from artists like me, from artists like anybody from my era. Right. Even Eric Clapton, even Deep Purple, they won't play the songs. I think it's insane.
It's strange, don't you think? Like people, they use your catalog for their station, but when you put out new material in their catalog, they're like, "Oh no, not that." Yeah.
Well, how are we supposed to survive on 6,000ths of 1 cent on a stream?
Yeah.
Think of it, 0.006. That's what you get paid basically for a stream. You want to get streaming income. Great. Yeah. So I'll get 1 million streams, which I'll never get. And 1 million streams, if you take a calculator, adds up to $600. That's 1 million streams. All right. 10 million streams is $6,000. So how the hell are we supposed to make an income? The only way we do it is through touring, doing live shows and selling merchandise.
Yep.
But in terms of making records from any songs you've written, or unless you're Adele or Jay-Z or, from that era, but cats like us, we have a really, that's why a lot of us stop being creative,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's some like new concepts coming along where the artist becomes more than just a musician, that you're basically just supposed to give more of yourself, like that you can have a platform where your fans buy a VIP ticket and then they get to chat with you, like, have a texting session or whatever, and like,
right.
They get more access to you as a person, and kind of that is the way that it is going now. But how do you feel about that? Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
The fact that what now? Could you repeat the last part of that? I'm sorry.
Just like, that the people are going to be able to interact more with the artists that they admire, or at least that their artists can go down that route, get a partner, get a online platform that offers straight sales, for instance, to your fans. Like Bandcamp does that now with the albums.
Right.
Or the music, but then there's additional like gamification and communication and interaction that comes with it. And that's sort of like the revenue stream.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of happening with me right now too. I got a lot of my music out there on all the social media platforms, and I get lots of contact with a lot of fans, which is really good. And it's been real positive in terms of, in terms of monetary. I don't think there's anything really, to speak of, to be honest.
Right.
Right.
Thank you, my friend. I am so glad we got to work it out this time. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad. Yeah, I had a little glitch last time, and
No worries. We got it all done. Thanks for
had my
taking the time,
grandson
man.
come over and. All right, I hope everything
Thanks,
was cool.
Mark.
I had a good time. It was
Yeah.
Good
This
comment.
is
pretty
was really
intense
nice.
talking about a lot of political issues.
The
A lot of
podcast.
heavy
This,
stuff for 30 minutes.
this podcast is more. It's not so much about like the questions that everyone always asks. It's more of a casual conversation with artists, so people can find out more about their artist.
Yeah.
Really.
I thought this
Yeah.
was really cool.
Good. I'm
Awesome.
glad you got it and glad you enjoyed it. And thank you again for taking the time.
Well, my
Thanks,
pleasure,
sir.
man. You guys stay safe. All right.
You
Be
too,
well.
man.
You too. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.